Peace, family. This is your brother, Agent 2020, and you are tuned in to Clear Vision Radio, real talk for real people. And I am your host. So, this is the first episode of Hip Hop History with Paradise Gray. My guest tonight is none other than the assistant curator of the Universal Hip Hop Museum, as well as member of the legendary X-Clan, and his name is Paradise Gray. He's also a writer, as I stated earlier, assistant curator of the Universal Hip Hop Museum, and we're going to have a very interesting discussion. This is going to be about hip-hop history as we see it. Then we're going to go back, and we're going to give you some insight. We're going to fill in some blanks, So this is going to be a good discussion. I'm pretty sure you guys make sure you tune into this. So we're going to kick it all off, and I'm going to bring my brother on the air, and we're about to take it from there. So how you doing, my brother? Paradise, you there, brother?
Yes. Peace and love. How you doing?
All right. Peace and love, black man. So we're going to get into this topic today. We had a brief discussion about this a couple of days ago, and you was on fire, talking about a lot of different stuff, and I took a lot of good notes. So we're going to go ahead on and jump right into it. So the first thing I want you to share with the people is the origins of what we call the battle in hip hop, because we have a battle culture now. You got a lot of your nice battle rappers out here from all over the country. They got leagues, and everything that's going on, and a lot of people tune in and they hear what they hear, and sometimes they don't know how to take it. They're like, ooh, it could probably get serious after this, battle is over. But I just want you to share with us, the origins of the hip hop battle and how it's evolved over the last 40 years in our culture.
Oh, okay. Well, I think in order to get to the foundation of battling in black culture, it's more important to start there, because we've always had a competitive spirit, and when it comes to the aggression and as a foundation for battle rappers, that comes from putting two men in the ring and letting them work it out, physically. That warrior spirit and that competitive spirit have always been a part of the African diaspora and a part of our community and culture, but we battled many things since coming, basically since this the culture here in America has started. You know what I mean? A lot of the battle culture here in America, the foundation for that is actually slavery. When we first came over, we used to do ciphers, and we used to dance and we used to shout. That's how we praise God, in ciphers, dancing and spoken word.
Yes, sir.
There's a rich tradition from slavery that started in Georgia, in the Gullah Geechee Islands. You know what I'm saying? They actually brought that African tradition over there, and they practiced it when they had the first African Baptist church. They molded and they mixed the Muslim religion and the new Christian religion that they were being forced to learn. So they always had that competitive things in ciphers, always a circle. You know what I mean? So from there, when you take the competitive spirit, you looked at the plantations and they had buck fighting and buck dancing and things like that. And once again, we form a circle, two people would get in the middle and they would compete doing something, whether it was physical or whether it was spiritual or whether it was verbal. You know what I'm saying? And from that
right.
Southern tradition came another spoken word tradition, you know what I'm saying? And that spoken word tradition was called the dozens. And the dozens was like you know, comedy and rudeness. You know, you would say rude things to each other and it would be funny, and whoever got the most laughs won the battle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
okay.
the dozens,
Okay. Yeah, I could dig.
You know, you know, your mama's so fat, you know, all that stuff is where it came now. But, you know, it has a rich tradition of many years of battling. And, you know, we battled guitars. We called it cutting heads. And if you ever seen the movie, you know what I'm saying, a movie called The Crossroads with Ralph Macchio in it, you know what I'm saying, where the old man, where they went to the crossroads and so they sold to the devil. And they came out and they would battle each other with their guitars and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it was always a competitive spirit for us. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, with battle rapping, you know, to bring it to a more modern way, when we look at the most modern importance of battle rapping, we go to Kool Moe Dee versus Busy B. You know?
Yeah, that was the beginning of That was the beginning of the battle of the old school versus the new school, as far as, you know, the changing of the guard, as they were called.
Yes. And it's funny because most of those battles that were really important in hip-hop back in those days occurred between someone older and someone younger. You know, that first ambush, there was an ambush rap. Because Busy B didn't even really know he was in a battle. You know, we used to have rap competition. You know, the talent shows and stuff like that. They weren't really battles, but because it wasn't a rapper versus a rapper when we first started doing the talent shows and stuff like that back in the Bronx. It was people doing the hustle against people that were singing. You know what I'm saying? So for years, most of those contests was won by people that were dancing, like, you know, doing the hustle, the disco music. And like in the 70s and the early 80s, if you was in a talent show, wherever you was at in New York City, if you was going against somebody that was dancing, doing the hustle, that was a loss. It was an automatic loss. You could not compete with the Puerto Rican brothers and sisters that was doing the hustle, because they were professional, they took it serious, and they were incredibly athletic and amazing. Then you get back to the hip-hop. That was like battles, talent shows like that was at the Disco Fever. And rest in peace, Prince Marky D. The first time I met the Fat Boys, they was in a rap talent show with a company named Tin Pan Apple in New York, and the person who won that talent show had a few things they could choose from when they won, and the Fat Boys won a recording contract. You know what I'm saying?
That's right, and that was highlighted on Beat. That was highlighted on Crush Groove. You know, in the movie, in a brief sense. You know, back then those movies were trying to give us a sense of how everything had started. You know, that was when, you know, we were writing the stories, you know, fresh off the press. You know, and then bringing it to the public. And that's a good thing that you brought up, the spirit of competition, because, you know, the talent shows, you know, used to be a showcase of talent. And you really didn't have to pick a winner. You were just able to see the talent that was going on in that city or in that state or on that side of town. And then, you know, out of that came the spirit of competition.
Right, because after people already got popular for doing those and everybody already knew they had talent, now you had to incentivize people to participate. And the way to get the best people was to offer money prizes and things like that. You know, offer opportunity to be on the radio, offer, you know, stuff and money prizes and stuff like that. That's when the competition started getting heated and serious. But it wasn't really aggressive like that until the Kool Moe Dee Busy B battle was what really set off the whole battle rap thing like that. You know, because it was competition of talent and entertainment before that. It wasn't personal. It wasn't, aggressive like that. You know what I mean? And then once B ambushed Big D like that, then everybody's like, "Oh, hold up, nah, we got to get right." And then like the group battle back in the day, like the Cold Crush versus the Fantastic. You know what I'm saying? Where the Fantastic won the battle with, by doing call and response with the crowd, pleasing the ladies, doing real entertaining rap. And the Cold Crush was doing aggressive street rhymes. And they lost the battle on tape. That night they didn't go home with the money. They were sad. But as people over the years go back, they say that the Cold Crush won. In hindsight, really listening to the styles change and what people like. How everything now is like really aggressive. Because back in those days, our normal lives was already aggressive. We was gangbanging in New York. New York was on fire. It was, the beginning of the message that Melly Mel said, broken glass everywhere. And the rest of that rhyme. That was real.
Right. People pissing.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, that and that's, I'm glad that was a good segue into what, the next thing I wanted to bring up, because you had spoke briefly about the way that the music had an effect on the culture and how the culture had an effect on the music. You know what I'm saying, with the youth
absolutely.
as well as with the young adults at that time, because I remember you mentioning the Ghetto Brothers, you know what I'm saying, doing some things in the neighborhood at that time. And, with the gang banging that was going on, they created a safe space for the brothers to come to, to be themselves. They could wear their colors. They could, have pride in who they were, to know that this was a safe space. We're not fighting today. What we're doing is we're going to enjoy our culture today. You know what I'm saying? So why don't you talk about that a little?
Well, in the Bronx, there was a group called the Ghetto Brothers that was comprised of African-American and Puerto Rican brothers came together in their hood, you know what I'm saying, to protect each other and to fellowship, you know what I mean? And after a while, the streets of New York were so crazy back then. It was every 2 or 3 blocks was a different gang. You know what I'm saying? If you watch the movie The Warriors, that was real.
Yeah.
They had a lot of clown stuff in there with costumes and Hollywood stuff, but the basic premise of that is exactly what was going down. And when in the movie The Warriors, when they had Silas killed, that was like the brother from the Ghetto Brothers. That really happened. The Ghetto Brothers was trying to call a gang truce in New York, and the Black Spades and another gang I can't remember the name of right now was warring against each other. And the Ghetto Brothers, they went to squash the beef and tell everybody, yo, we don't have to keep doing it like this. And the other gang, not the Black Spades, the member of the other gang shot and killed the brother. I think his name was Black Benny, and he was he was the master. I think they called him the peacemaker of the group, instead of the warlord. You know what I mean? He was the peacemaker.
Right.
And so everybody in New York was getting ready to, all the gangs were coming together to ride on the Black Spades and the other gang both. And everybody was giving the Ghetto Brothers the right to shed all the blood they wanted because their brother was killed. And the Ghetto Brothers, they met with each other and they said, yo, that brother, he was about peace. It would be ridiculous for us to start a war over his blood when he died trying to bring about peace. So, and they called all the gangs together and into a big cipher, a meeting of the minds, and everybody came, all the main warlords and all the gang leaders came together, 100 and something gangs, and they talked it out, and they it's not like everybody was talking peaceful. Some of them were still talking reckless, but they talked for hours and hours and they worked it out, and they came up with a truce, and that truce and the way that they did those things, that's what really led to New York being safe enough for the creation of hip hop, because it was totally unsafe back then. You know what I mean? And it also led to the Black Spades later became members of the Black Spades inspired to create the Zulu Nation later, and then later on the Zulu Nation took up the task of being peacemakers like the Ghetto Brothers used to be, and, you know, they started squashing hip-hop and street beats also.
Oh, right. Okay. That's a piece of history that I wasn't too aware of. Now, I did see a couple of movies that had some old footage of gang truce meetings from New York, where they would talk about different stuff, you know, and try to squash different stuff, and you never really seen the actual outcome of that. You just seen the little clips of, you know, that some people might have still had, you know, in their archives and stuff like that. But yeah, that was a nice piece of history. That ties everything in, you know, because the gang situation on the West Coast was something similar around that time, you know, and then they came up with their version of the music and the culture that started bringing people together. Because, you know, I remember Ice-T was saying that he was traveling back and forth from New York to L.A., you know, because he was a DJ at the time before he started.
The foundation of probably both the New York and the L.A. gang situations is Chicago. You know, brothers from Chicago, they spread a lot of the gang activity. It wasn't intended to be negative. Like I said, the Black Spades, which was the largest, most violent gang in New York at one time, they began, you know, protecting the community. And so did the Blood Brothers on the West Coast. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And the foundation of most of that are the Moors from Chicago, who wound up becoming the Blackstone Rangers and others. You know, a lot of formations. I'm not going to name all the foundations and formations, but the foundation of most of that came from Chicago.
Yeah, that was our brother.
And remember, Chicago always been a gangster town. Al Capone, baby.
Yes, it has from the beginning. Yes, sir.
There ain't nothing new.
Yeah.
You know, people they act like they don't know what's going on in Chicago. They, you know, it's a deep rooted culture and survival. You know what I'm saying? And gang banging in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? It's in the blood.
Yeah.
It's family. It's tradition. It's also business. And a lot of people don't think about that when they consider it.
Yeah, that's actually true too. You know, Chicago does have a very deep, a rich history, you know, of that, as well as, you know, just like you said, you know, all the way back from the beginning, you know, 1920s, Al Capone, you know, it's kind of in the blood. That's why I'm glad you brought that up, because, you know, a lot of brothers out here, you know, they just need to be aware that that situation is a real situation, you know, and that even though they might be up there going through that specific thing, you know, they do care about their loved ones that they lost. You know, it's been a lot of different stuff that's been going on in different parts of the country, you know, with this, you know, a lot of the street violence and stuff like that, you know. We lost a lot of what I like to call potential artists, you know, lost a lot of, you know, mothers and sons, you know. You know, my heart goes out to those brothers and sisters, you know, that have, you know, fallen to that. So I really do respect the fact that you did say something about that, you know, and how that spread to the, you know, these are the three biggest cities in, you know, the nation, three of the most influential and popular cities in the nation, you know, where all of the stuff was going on at. Yep. They all had something to do with hip-hop being created out of those particular conditions. So, yeah, you know, rest in peace to all the brothers, you know, and sisters in Chicago. You know, I hope y'all, you know, stay safe out there and, you know, keep y'all heads up with all the stuff going on and try to get through it. But, yeah, and the music does have a lot to do with that, too, as well, because, you know, they have to vent through the music sometimes and get that stuff off their chest, as well as try to, you know what I'm saying, mend some of the things that may have happened through the music as well. You brought
but
that
for
up
all the
when
people
you
who are
said that.
haters, for all the haters who like to try to blame hip hop for the violence, I say to them, I'm sorry, that is not true, because the gangbanging in Chicago was similar to like it is now. The numbers may not be the same, but when there was doo-wop, there was violence. When there was jazz, there was violence. You know, there was violence in Chicago when people were singing church music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
they was having straight razors and, you know,
exactly.
switchblades, and I mean, it was
right.
I mean, it was like that. Now, it was a movie. Cadillac Records was talking about that, you know, in a certain part where they was down at the juke joint, you know, and, you know, who was that little, what was his name? I'm trying to think of Muddy Waters, the young guy, protege that was played by Columbus Short. I'm trying to think of his name that was in the movie.
But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the character. I'm trying to think of his name. I can't remember it right now, but yeah, he was a that was that guy. You know, he had that attitude. He'd get up there and sing, but at the same time, he'd jump off the chair, off the stage, and jump right into the fight too. You know what I'm saying? Didn't have no issue carrying no pistol or no switchblade or whatever. So yeah, I can dig it. I mean, you know, it came out of the culture, so it really was a part of the culture at that time. You know, for some of those things to happen.
People always remember that hip hop comes from black culture, not the other way around. So if you have people talking misogynistic in hip hop, it's because it's misogyny going on in their life somewhere. If you got
in their life somewhere,
you know, same thing goes for, you know, arrogance, violence. All of these things are not being made up by the artist. Whether the artist is experiencing it in first person or third person, it still exists in our community. So whatever, if our artists are spitting wild and violent and crazy and misogynistic and drugs and all that, that means that there's too much of that going on in our community. And they know before they put it out that it's going to appeal to a lot of people, because sex, drugs, and violence is as American as apple pie. And as a matter of fact, there's no rock and roll without sex, drugs, and violence.
Yeah, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I mean, that was the motto. You know, we grew up hearing that in the 70s and the 80s. I mean, you know, and it's not like, you know, it was, they used to, I guess that was one of the reasons why the church used to get so upset to call it the devil's music. You know, they started saying the same thing about hip-hop being the devil's music, too. But, yeah, they were so offended, you know, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and they like, oh, my God. It's like, well, you know, I mean, it's a culture. It's not going on as heavy as you might think it is. I mean, they're just talking about it, you know, and this is their first time hearing it.
And the word rock and roll, do you know what rock and roll meant in hood slang back in the day?
I had no idea. What did it mean?
Rock and roll meant to have sex. Hey, baby, let's go rock and roll. And so did jazz. Jazz means sex. Jazz was the hood slang for sex, and so was rock and roll. You see what I'm saying? And the music industry, when they first started creating so-called black music in America, it wasn't called black music. It was called race music. Anything that we created, whether we were singing, rapping, toe tapping, playing a banjo, if it was done by a African American black person or whatever they classified us in the day, it was called race music. Put out a lot of gospel records because most of us from Chicago, New York, LA, I don't care where you're from the South. And the Great Migration brought a whole bunch of people from the South into the cities to get jobs and to make money, you know what I'm saying, in the factories and stuff, you know. And
that was
they brought their
people.
music. They brought their culture with them, and they brought their music with them. That's why a lot of what goes on in New York, Chicago, and LA is all interconnected in many ways. You know, we look at it.
Now y'all heard that.
Similarities. And who brought the funk? And what they did was they turned gospel music into the blues and stuff like that. And you can see the transition in the Ray Charles movie when a guy in the band in the middle of a song, he quit. He said, "Man, I can't do this no more. I can't play God music like this," because they were using the same riffs and the same rhythms from gospel from the South in the songs. You see, so that was
which was the beginnings of what we call soul music at that time.
Right, exactly. Epitome of it. Like if you listen to somebody like Ray Charles, James Brown, Otis Redding, you know what I'm saying? You could hear that deep rooted soul. Like, you know, Aretha Franklin.
Really,
you know, Aretha Franklin's father was one of the greatest preachers ever, and they were from Detroit. You know, so Aretha was a gospel singer who flipped and started, you know, singing also. And then you had Big Mama Thornton. Big Mama Thornton was a gospel singer from the South who basically invented the guitar rock and roll. You know, she was before Chuck Berry. She was before all of them, and she played rock and roll guitar to gospel music in the clubs.
Wow. Now, for the listening audience, imagine that. Imagine a woman with a guitar playing. Now you
don't
can
even have
see
to
it now, but imagine this back then.
I'm saying,
before,
you can imagine it back
before
then.
Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry was 1950s. We're talking about 1940s. You know, before 30s. Chuck Berry.
Yes.
A woman playing a guitar.
Big Mama too. Big Mama Thornton, and tearing that guitar up like Jimi Hendrix.
Come on, man. Can you imagine? Wow. See, now that's what
you don't have to imagine.
Again,
you could go to YouTube and search for Big Mama Thornton and experience her in all her glory right now.
Wow. Yeah, I heard that. That's something y'all might want to go look that up, because I'm definitely gonna do that. After this call.
That's homework. Everybody check out Big Mama Thornton. I think there's even a documentary about her. You could check it out.
Okay.
You know.
Now another thing I wanted to ask you about here was the Universal Hip Hop Museum. You know, you're the curator, assistant curator. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
I'm the chief curator. Actually,
chief curator.
I'm sorry. Curator. Yes.
Chief curator.
Hip Hop
Chief curator.
Yes, my associate curators are Pete Nice and Senyon Kelly, and those are my
For those who don't know
curators.
who Pete Nice is,
Pete Nice is the Prime Minister Pete Nice from Third Base.
Okay, Third Base is a part of hip hop history, you know. So he's an assistant curator of the Universal Hip Hop Museum. Okay, that's so.
Yeah, but his partner MC Search, we don't really mess with that dude too much. He's a clown boy, but Pete Nice is my homie. You know, I knew Search before I knew Pete, actually, back in the day at the Latin Quarter. Both Search and Pete met back then, and I used to run the club. But the Universal Hip Hop Museum, I've been working on it for over 9 years. It's on 149th Street at the Bronx Terminal Market. And what's dope about that is that I used to live in a community called High Bridge that's only about 12 blocks from there. Like, I grew up on 165th and Ogden Avenue, and like I said, the Hip Hop Museum's on 149th Street. I used to walk down there and buy my records at they had a record distributor that had a record pool in the same buildings that's right across the street from where we're building the actual museum. We have a temporary space there now, but right across the street is where the actual museum is going to be built, right on the river between the Bronx and Harlem. Yep.
Yeah.
But it's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
You know, we got a great team of people who came together who all love to archive, collect, and study the history of hip-hop. And, you know, the CEO, his name is Rocky Bucano. You know, he's been helping put this team together for years now, and it's mighty incredible. You know, we got Martha from the most incredible hip hop education center. You know what I'm saying? And we're very fortunate. You know, we basically want to create a museum that's different than anything that's been built before, because this is not a place that's going to be like a mausoleum, you know, where hip-hop goes to die and be memorialized. It's a museum where hip-hop goes to live, and we're going to not just celebrate the old heads like me and, you know, my elders in hip-hop and music, but we're also going to extend the bridges out to young people who are creating hip-hop right now, and let them know that it's important what they're doing too, and not all old heads look at all of them the same. And, you know, just like any other genre, if you're a jazz head, I'm sorry to change the subject, you're a jazz head or aficionado, you don't turn the radio on looking for dope jazz. You got to dig in them crates, you know, come up with Thelonious Monk or the obscure Miles Davis joints. And you know what I mean? You got to dig for it. Ain't nobody going to just serve. You know, we got to stop being so lazy and listening to the mainstream all the time, because the mainstream, that's music business. I don't deal with the music business anymore. If I ain't making money in it, I don't care about the business of music. I want to tap my feet. I want to listen to something that's going to uplift my spirit, make me feel better about myself, give me hope, make me laugh, make me smile, give me that old Earth, Wind, and Fire vibration. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can dig it. I can dig it. Yeah, that's what music does. It's a part of who we are. You know, it invokes a spirit and a feeling, you know, that is designed to, you know, either take us away from something or bring us to something. You know, that's just like my personal take on it. And when you speak about the actual museum, bringing the history there to live and extending the bridge to the youth, you know, and letting the youth know that the elders don't look at them like everybody thinks they look at them, could be an encouraging step for them as artists or producers or and stuff like that, because now that they're coming to hip-hop, they might want to talk to an elder in hip-hop and be like, man, I do this kind of music, or you know, I make these kind of beats, and, you know, I don't know if he'll listen to them but no, I mean, you should reach out to him. You know, a lot of these producers now, they got workshops and things that they're doing because they want to work with the up-and-coming artists in the youth, you know, David Banner and, you know, the brothers down south, you know what I'm saying, T.I., they be having, like, you know, open mics and encouraging the young people to come out, you know, and express their talent. So that was a good point to be making. And coming from an elder, that definitely means a lot. I'm a hip hop fan to the day I die. So I mean, coming from an elder, saying that in the actual, you know, in the actual culture, that's a thumbs up. That means a lot to me. You know, I just want to let you know that. So
thank you, sir. And we got to also know. We also got to know too that while we're, you know, so critical of everyone, we got to remember that when we created hip-hop, we wasn't listening to nobody telling us to do nothing. We did what we wanted, when we wanted, how we wanted. That's hip-hop. So how can we tell our youth that they have to do anything the way we did it? You understand? We do it like you know, I got my first crate of records from my mama from the living room. You know, my mother used to buy records every Friday when she came home, you know, from work. She would have a handful of 45s. And maybe an album or two here and there. And, you know, she introduced me to James Brown, George Clinton, Sly and the Family Stone, the Ohio Players. You know what I'm saying? All the foundations of hip-hop. She introduced me to Bob James. That's right. You know, I didn't know what Bob James was till my mama had it in her collection. You know, I had Tramp. And, you know, so all of that. So we got to remember that. But even such, let me just finish the point. Even such that I got my first creative records from my mama's records, I played them differently than she played them, and I create a whole new genre off of what we got from them as a foundation. But They wasn't scratching and spinning on their head, and and taking it where we took it. So we took it somewhere different. We made it. It was teenage music. Hip hop was a subgenre of disco. You know what I mean? The disco DJs laid the foundation, taught and mentored the hip hop DJs. But we wasn't even allowed in the club. We was too young, and they didn't want no b-boying in the club. Nobody want, they trying to dance with the women. What they want you on the floor for? Get off the floor. What are you, dirty? They talk bad about us. They turned us down. You know what I'm saying? They disrespected us. Our elders disrespected us. And, we're stupid if we repeat that cycle. But, you know what I'm saying? Branford Marsalis and his brother, Wynton Marsalis, and the dude from Cameo, all of them was just dissing us hard, and we loved them. You know what I'm saying? But they were saying hip-hop is a fad. It's not real. It's not going to last. They don't have no talent. They just sampling and stealing our music. You understand?
I remember hearing that. Yes, sir.
Turn on the radio. The radio was like, no rap. Instrumentals and not playing the vocals. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't no hunky-dory, easy way for hip-hop. Hip-hop was dangerous. Hip-hop was illegal. When we did those jams in the parks, we didn't have no permits. You know what I'm saying? When we bust those light poles open, that was breaking and entering and destroying public property. You know what I'm saying? When we cut those cords and hooked it up so we could plug our equipment in, that was theft of services. So hip-hop was illegal all the way around. So we had to fight, scratch, and kick for everything we got. And we got to remember that and be careful how we talk to our young people now, because hip-hop was teenage music. The older people was in the clubs dancing with silk shirts and collars and slippery shoes. It wasn't no Kangos, no Gazellis, and no Adidas and Pumas. You know what I'm saying? So it was teenage music. It was rebel music. You know what I'm saying? It was, we're going to do it our way music. And it's still, to listen to some artists who are older, and I ain't going to name no names, Melly Mel, to just constantly be ranting on young people from the porch, like, get off my lawn. That's not what it's going to take for us to really be able to help inspire young people, and help them get to the next level and get them to care about our wisdom. Because I'll tell you one thing, I don't care what nobody got to say if every time they open their mouth, they say something that discredits me, that makes me feel down, that puts me down, that doesn't respect me and doesn't hold me up and see the value in me. We have to see the value in our young people. And our young people are better than us. They're smarter than us. They're the product of us. But we have to look and nurture that. They're not going to be all they can be or live up to their potential if no one nurtures it. If we don't put nothing good in them, how we expect something good to come out of them?
Bad. Y'all listening? This is Paradise Dre. He has a insight and a perspective about this that we're trying to reach at this point. So the youth is being the most important part of hip hop and of a lot of things, and the fact that the youth are supposed to be better versions of us in that sense.
Yeah. And the part
you're
about
definitely correct.
And the part about it that angers me is that we don't tell them the truth. You know what I'm saying? And we allow young people to believe that rappers make a whole lot of money, that they got them fancy cars and the big houses and all these women and all this stuff, and 99.9% of it is a straight-up lie. You know what I'm saying? We don't prepare our young people for that industry. We don't let them know what to watch out for. You know what I'm saying? So we fall into generation after generation after generation of Cadillac records or big chain records, where you get a Cadillac or a big chain and you broke his head, faking it, all up on MTV Cribs with a fleet of rented cars. You know what I'm saying? In a borrowed mansion. People open the refrigerator, Only thing in the damn refrigerator is 20 bottles of Cristal. Get the hell out of here. That's supposed to be cool? That's whack. Just lie. Y'all lying. Y'all don't tell the young people about the drugs, about the abuse, about the negative treatment of women and young people that goes down in the entertainment industry. Y'all don't let them know what to watch out for. You know what I'm saying? And create safe spaces so you ain't got to sell your soul to sell soul music. You know, it shouldn't have to be that difficult. You know, we need to go ahead and tell young people the truth. You know what I'm saying? Because I grew up in the grimy streets of the South Bronx. I lived in Brooklyn for years. You know what I'm saying? I grew up around gangbangers, drug dealers, murderers, pimps, and hoes. And the most disgusting, backstabbing, throw you under the bus, grimy people I ever met in my life is in the entertainment industry and the music business, period.
So, see, now we're dealing with personalities. We're dealing with mindsets now. You ain't even got to be out here what you would call perpetrating no physical violence on anybody to be called a thug or a gangster. You know, you can be called a thug or a gangster just by your tactics and how you handle people and how you treat people in a what I like to call non-connecting way where you don't have to actually interact with a non-interacting way in business.
Right.
So, yeah, that's, yeah.
Yes, sir. And what they did was they flipped the script on us with what we created hip-hop for. We was in the streets already. We was living every single one of all that Rick Ross stuff and all that. People was living all that stuff, all the negative, all the violence, all the drug selling. We lived that. We wasn't going to try to go on a microphone and get on stage and talk about that. Nah, we got on stage. We was talking about color TVs on the wall that didn't even exist yet. You know what I'm saying? we was talking about limos and, you know, and getting on yachts and talk about stuff that everybody knew we ain't never even seen yet. But we trying to escape the streets, to get out of the streets. Now you got cats trying to get in hip-hop and get in the street, trying to get street cred so that they could turn street cred into money. You know what I'm saying? But the game ain't to be told. The game is to be sold. So you got a whole bunch of people that never sold an aspirin talking about selling keys from overseas and making it sound so delicious and so nutritional, like it's a lifestyle, you know, that can be sustained and maintained by a young black man or brown man, you know, but that's unsustainable. It's not a lifestyle that they selling us, our young people. They selling the death style, you know what I'm saying? And they make money off us coming and going. They love it when the rappers get killed and they own their rights to their music, you know what I'm saying? And because they know that they're going to sell a bunch of records and, hey, we made cookie-cutter artists anyway. Next up, you know, they created like a machine that discards, you know, that discards us and sells us false narratives. And, you know, now all of us are thugs and all of us is pimps. So much so that 17-year-old kid can't even walk down the street, you know, wearing a hoodie without being, you know, stalked and murdered. That's not who we are. We need to stop accepting false narratives about who we are told to us by people who don't have our best interests in mind. Let's just put it that way. You know what I'm saying?
We need to change the
narrative.
Yes, sir.
Stay balanced and look at hip-hop through the filter of what it is. The creative, collective, unified, artistic, cultural experience of Afro-Indigenous peoples.
Very well put. Very well put.
You know, it's higher infinite power,
healing our people.
Healing our people.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Higher infinite power, healing our people. I'm glad you spoke on that success aspect of it because a lot of artists, just like you said, I mean, you hit it right on the head. Talking about success now would be considered cap if you don't have it. But when the original artists or when the OGs or the people that was really coming up out of that lifestyle was talking about being successful, not having to struggle, not having to, and instead of talking about broken glass everywhere, and roaches in the roaches in the bedroom and all of that stuff. They talking about, like you said, TVs coming out the wall. We want to pop some bottles. We want to go to this, mansion, be futuristic. So yeah, that's a really good point. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, because they spoke it into existence. Because we were just ghetto fabulous. We was ghetto superstars. You walk down the street and people say, "Yo, there you go. Yo, that's him." Let's battle. Or let's cipher. It was just something we did it every day. It was good. It was something, people looked up at you. You could go to court in the early days and tell the judge that you was a rapper and you got a record deal, and he would probably be like, "Oh, okay, you coming up. I'll give you a break." You go to court now and tell them you're a rapper with a record deal, they're going to throw you under the jail.
They're going to make you show a contract. You need to show me checks. I need check stubs. I need to see bank account.
No, but they don't care.
Who's your manager?
They don't care now.
Yeah.
If you're a rapper now, the value of you as a human being is lesser than it used to be. Being a rapper is not looked up to anymore. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because so many people spend so much time telling us how grimy they was, how disgusting they was, how they'll mutilate anybody and throw us out the window, and they don't care about us. And at some point when somebody tells you something, believe them. So it's like a lot of people, they like, I'm mad because they treat me like this because I'm a rapper. Yeah, because you listen to what you say. I heard what you said. I believe you. I don't want nobody that do all the things you said in your record around me. Like, dude, you killed 25 bodies just in the first 2 verses. What do I want you around me for?
Yeah.
You persona non grata. Because if you do just one of them things to me or my homies that you said on your record, it's going to be problems.
It's going to be problems. Yeah. And see, that's where I was talking about the whole idea of capping coming in. You when you talk that, it's going to really be somebody out there that just might want to take you up.
Oh, it's going to check you. It's the nature of the earth. It's how the grand creator set this up, survival of the fittest. And what happened when all those dudes in L.A. start talking about they were sharks, start feeding on the other fish. Shark, we the sharks. Guess what happens when the sharks put so much blood in the water while they're feeding? It's going to attract a killer whale. In comes Suge Knight. I eat sharks. I eat sharks. Yeah.
Good analogy.
The killer whale going to come and eat the shark.
That's pretty much close to what happened. You absolutely, yeah, right. You're right. He came and ate up. He came in and picked up a whole lot of groups. Yeah. Yeah.
So what happens basically, what I'm saying is, you got to be careful what you put in the universe with your words, because words plus sound equal power. Words have power. Words have consequences. They told us when we was children that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That is not true. They dismiss power of the word. Remember what the power of the word: psalms, chants, prayers, incantations, curses. They're all spoken words. You know what I mean? Abracadabra is an ancient Hebrew word that means, so as I speak it, so shall it exist. We have to be careful and take everything back to the essence of spirituality that we come from. Because in the beginning, there was only the Word, and the Word became the true and living God. And if you look at hip-hop itself, hip-hop loves the word. Word has so much power in itself. Word up, word life, word to the mother. Even if you just say the word by itself is an affirmation of the truth. Like if somebody say something, you say, word.
Word. Yep.
All right.
So we got about 8 minutes. We got about 8 minutes and 25 seconds left. So, Brother Paradise, I want you to
yes, sir.
let the people know where they can get in touch with the Universal Hip Hop Museum, whether you already gave the actual physical address. Is there anything online that they can look at?
Yes, sir.
I know you got a YouTube page that I subscribe to, and I get updates here and there. So why don't you give the listening audience, some information where they'll be able to go and start experiencing the Universal Hip Hop Museum if they can't get there in person?
Well, the best place to go is uhhm.org, and keep a lookout. We're getting ready to put an incredible 3D walkthrough of our exhibits on there, so you won't have to actually come to the physical museum while the cooties is going around. You could just check out our virtual. Yeah, we got a virtual museum that we're going to put up. We got an exhibit up right now called The Revolution of Hip Hop from 1980 to 1985 is up right now. It has some amazing pieces from Charlie Ahern, Michael Holman, Joe Conzo. You know what I'm saying? It got some incredible information on Fab Five Freddy, some joints from my man Ralph McDaniels, video from the Fresh Fest back in the days. We got incredible hip-hop accessories like tangos and the glasses we used to wear, Cazellis and different things like that, different sneakers. I mean, it's incredible. My man Pete Nice, I thank him so much. He's my eyes and ears out there, and, that helps me curate to the level that I still got it going on. My homegirl Sinyon did crazy work on this, and also Pop Master Fable. That dude, man, he got crazy artifacts in this exhibit, as well as incredible selection from Sal Abatella from the Disco Fever. He blessed us with so much historic artifacts from the Fever. You know what I mean? So it's incredible. Just go to uhhm.org. You know what I'm saying? Donate some bread if you want to help support the work that we're doing. You could also catch us on IG. We got a page up there, UHHM, Universal Hip Hop Museum. We're on Facebook, and we're also on Twitter. All right? So you can catch us in all those places. And also, I have a book on Amazon.com, No Half-Stepping, the oral and pictorial history of the Latin Quarter, the incubator of the golden era of hip-hop by Paradise Gray. Yeah.
You heard it here. You heard it here. Clear Vision. Clear Vision Radio.
Yes, sir.
Our brother. Paradise Gray giving us That's right. Because once even though one faculty gets taken away, everything else gets enhanced, and I could tell where the enhancement been, because your ability to recall a lot of different things is just absolutely amazing to me. Every time I talk to you, I just get the same feeling. I'll be like, man, it's almost like I was there. I can just imagine what you're saying. So once again, brother,
yes,
I am so glad that you was able to talk with me. I want you to speak on, do you got any type of music that you might be involved in right now? Are you still involved in it in some way, shape, or form? Can you speak on that real quick before we go off?
That's like asking me, do I still eat and breathe?
We'll talk about that, brother. Yeah, let us know what you got going on.
Yeah, well, here in Pittsburgh, I founded an organization called One Hood with my brother Jasiri X, and we run a media academy.
My brother, I did not know that.
Yeah, I'm Jasiri X's mentor. Yeah, I recorded Jasiri from the beginning, and most of his videos I directed and filmed.
Wow, that's gonna be another. that's something we're gonna have to be talking about here real soon.
We got a lot of young people coming through that program for years. That's incredible. And of course, I got my homie, my man Koofy L. My man Koofy is the dopest. You know what I'm saying? And we working with a couple artists here from the crib too, because I don't just mentor people with programs where I get finances from. You know, most of the mentoring I do is hands-on hands, come to the crib, and, you know, I work with people, young people, and let them know that, you know, you don't have to create music just to try to be a part of an industry. You know, hip-hop is a lifestyle. It's a culture. You know, rap is the musical culture. You know what I'm saying? But it's a lot more to hip-hop than just rap. You know, it goes way beyond beats and rhymes. You know, that's just a foundation, a glue to bring us together. You know what I'm saying? But we also have hip-hop morals that we need to really understand, you know, because we hear the music and everybody that rap ain't hip-hop. You know what I'm saying? And everybody in hip-hop is just a rapper. You know what I'm saying? So we need to really understand that. And well, my brother Minister Server in Atlanta, you know, we're working on really spreading the hip-hop Declaration for Peace. Have you ever heard of that?
No, sir. This is my first time hearing about that as well.
20 years ago, KRS-One and a lot of hip-hop pioneers and a lot of intelligent people got together and they wrote down a list of morals for hip-hoppers called the Hip-Hop Declaration of Peace. And it's on. This year is the 20th anniversary of that. So we're going to revisit. We need to revisit the Hip-Hop Declaration of Peace and maybe rewrite it and update it for today's circumstances. But please just go to the internet, go to Google, and check out the Hip Hop Declaration of Peace.
Okay. Yes, sir. We'll do that.
Cool in the gang. So it was great talking with you, good brother, and I appreciate you having me on. You could call me anytime, talk about anything, and I'll gladly be on here with you anytime you want.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate that. This will be an ongoing series for the audience, so y'all just look out for the next episode. I am your host, 2020, and you have been on Clear Vision Radio on Blog Talk Radio with our host, Paradise Grace, Hip Hop History. I'm glad you tuned in. Make sure you go back and listen to the replay if you didn't catch the whole show. Next time we might be able to have a little bit of call-in. You know, if y'all got a couple of questions y'all might want to ask, some comments you might want to make, some things you might want to say, we'll set that up for the actual next couple of episodes here. So, once again, thank you for tuning in, people. My name is 2020, and I am out. Thank you, Brother Paradise, for your time, brother. You have a wonderful evening.
Yes, sir. Wash your hands. Wear your mask. Stay 6 feet away. Don't get the cooties.
Yes, we sure will. All right. Peace.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.